So you're going to see this phone when you look at me. You might see this phone. Do you see it? So I'm Zoom interviewing you and putting it on Facebook Live while you're talking. Cuz I can't figure out how to get Zoom to go to Facebook Live by myself. So this is what I'm going to
I'm not 100% sure how any of it works, so
I know it.
forgive it.
Hey, it's Jason Salmon from New York, you guys. Look at him. He's busy working. Let's watch him work. He knows how to get the lighting just right. You see, when you get an actor who's been on stage, he knows where to stand. He knows where the light is.
That's right.
Jason, tell us about where you were born and raised and what got you into comedy to start off with.
I was born and raised just outside of Dallas, Texas, and I just always enjoyed. I always enjoyed making people laugh. I just always was fun for me. So when I realized that that's also a thing that people pay you for, that changed my life.
Yeah. When was the first time, which did you do first, acting or comedy on stage? Or I'm sure you did comedy as a little child for your friends and family, right?
Not purposely. I was a conversational comedian when I was younger, but no, I acted when I was in. That was probably the first acting role I ever did was in a church play when I was like 40 years old. So I mean, I've been acting for years.
Wow.
Singing and musicals and junk like that. So yeah, so that would definitely be the first, and that's also the first thing I got paid to do.
Oh my gosh. Just a second. The AC didn't go off. I no longer understand electricity, nothing. The pandemic has me all messed up. Okay.
They all have to get back to our sticks and our stones and our churns.
Yes. I think it's funny that they're referring to it as getting back to a new normal as if we ever were.
Yeah, I don't think, I just think just if enough people are, I think they call it normal. I don't think it's ever been normal. I think people just like to associate that, so it makes people feel comfortable.
Yes. So you started acting at 4 years old in a school play?
Church play.
Church play.
Musical, yeah.
Do you remember the name of the church musical?
I think it was like Stevie and Nancy Meet Somebody. I don't know. There was something. I don't know. I played Stevie. It was just me and a little girl, and we played the young kids who met this songbook or whatever. It was
How
weird.
cool.
I don't remember exactly.
When did you fall in love with acting? Was it right away?
I always enjoyed it. I was more of a sports guy in school, so I did some acting and some choir and all sorts of stuff like that. But I was always, let's play football, let's play basketball, let's play baseball. And once I realized, once I got into college and realized that I was not going to make any money doing any of those things, football, basketball, or baseball, I decided that I was going to take a normal job, and I didn't know what was going to happen. And then all of a sudden, I got a real job and moved up to the New York City area. And I thought, oh, maybe I'll take some classes to meet some women, some acting classes. And turns out I was decent at acting, so I was like, all right, see what I can do with this.
You've gotten into a lot of roles. My favorite movie is Sweet Home Alabama. You got into that? I love that.
I was an extra in that. I had a tiny moment on screen, which is crazy because like right around that time, I also had like a big, huge Budweiser commercial that I filmed in Prague and made a ton of money off of.
Wow.
I think I made for the Sweet Home Alabama as an extra. I think I made $65.
Wow. Did you get to?
All of my family looked at that as a much better credit.
Yes.
To my acting career. So they definitely were more impressed by the 10 seconds in Sweet Home Alabama than they were by all the money I made from Budweiser.
So, what was your favorite stage role? You were in Upright Citizens Brigade, and you traveled with an acting group, right?
I did. I traveled with an acting group in New Jersey. That was my first paid acting job. So that was fun. That was we traveled around the state of New Jersey. We were telling this whole history of New Jersey. It was a children's thing, so it was a lot of playing around and goofing around. It was fun. Had a good time doing it. It was not something that I would say was extraordinarily challenging as an actor. When you're playing animals, sometimes, like some of the parts that I was doing in that were me pretending to be a fox or something like that. So, not exactly Othello.
What?
But it was, it was fun. It was a good experience. It was a professional experience. So, you definitely were dealing with all of the components, professional components of acting, even though it was a much more whimsical, silly performance style. I did a thing of Pillow Man years later, which I loved, which was one of the roles that I think is one of the best ones I've ever played.
Really?
And yeah, and I didn't make any money off of that once you took away all of the expenses that I incurred. So,
That was called Pillow Man?
Pillow Man, yes. If you've never seen it,
No.
I would recommend reading it. It's good enough that you can read it, and it's a good play. But I saw it on Broadway years ago, and to this day, the best thing I've ever seen or read, the best single play ever.
Wow, I'll have to go pick that up and read it.
Yeah, very good play. Pillow Man by Martin McDonough, the guy who did 3 Billboards Outside, the one with Frances McDormand a few years ago. So.
Wow. Who's your favorite director that you worked with on stage and why?
You know what? I've worked with some really good directors. I'll be honest with you. I've had a lot of good fortune. I've had a bunch of them who've contributed. Some of them have contributed a lot of input. Some of them have given me free reign. But I would say that I've worked with a few directors that I would not like to ever work with again. The odds are you're going to, but
yes.
But I will say that they've all given me things that I either didn't know. Everything from I was once I played a gay character in a play, and I had the director was. He knew that I was not. He knew that I was barbaric in the way that I was naturally.
Yes.
But that the character was much more cosmopolitan. And that wasn't specific to his sexuality. That's just who he was as a character.
Yes.
But he really allowed me and encouraged me to push the envelope, and then he pulled me back. He was actually a gay man who, knew that was just a component of the character, but not the defining component of the character.
Great.
Because good theater, and this was a Richard Greenberg play, and I don't know if you've ever read any of his, but he does a lot of plays that center around gay themes and things like that, but ultimately it's a universality of love and connection.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter if you're gay, it doesn't matter if you're heterosexual, it doesn't matter if you've got some sort of other thread on the sexuality spectrum that you connect to. The universality of human connection is the same. And that's what he really allowed me to tap into. I would say probably one of my favorite directors ever was, I worked with this guy, W. David Wilkins, in my very first big acting role when I decided to quit my job in engineering and pursue acting. And I was doing this play called The Complete Works of William Shakespeare Abridged.
Yes, I saw that. I was like, abridged.
Yeah, it's such a comedic take on Shakespeare, but it's such a deep take on Shakespeare at the same time. So you get everything from these very erudite jokes that only play to people who know Shakespeare well. You
Yes.
get everything from that to, fart jokes, which Shakespeare also did, but the beautiful thing about this director is that he gave me first of all, he gave me my first big opportunity.
Yes.
Because this was a 3-man show and I had virtually no experience at all, and I got the job because I screamed like a woman better than anybody who auditioned for it. But he took a chance on me, and then in doing so, he also allowed me this free reign of exploring the character. But if I went outside of the bounds of what he wanted, he would rein me in, and he would say, "No, let's do this. Let's drop that. Keep that. That was great. I like what you're doing. This I don't want. Let's do this instead." So, he really stirred the passion for acting that I, has stayed with me to this day. Just the ability to being on stage or on film and inhabiting someone else's world, someone else's being.
Wow.
He really was a huge factor in that, and I'm very thankful for him. He's probably my all-time favorite, although, again, I have had some great ones.
Yes. What's the big role that you think you got away from you, and what's the role you're dying to do?
Well, every time I see somebody with a mustache on a commercial, I think, oh, I should have gotten that one. So I sure wish I was the guy in the Limu Emus Liberty Mutual. But you know what? I haven't auditioned for a bunch of big roles that have gotten away. I've done a lot of smaller stuff, so it's hard for me to say. I once didn't get the role as a boxer in a play. It was a Pinter play.
Okay.
And the guy was an ex-boxer, and I really felt he was British, and I felt like I nailed the accent, and I felt like I really had a handle on the character. And I remember I didn't get the role, and then I saw the guy who was directing it, and he said, "Oh, we really loved your audition, but we felt like you were too good looking for the role. We wanted someone who was a little dumpier." And I was flattered, and then when he left, I was like, "Oh no, he's just playing on my narcissism." He completely tried to use my narcissism as a weapon against me. So that was rough. That I let myself get caught up in my own narcissism, and he gave me that excuse. No, I didn't get the role.
So let's switch over to comedy, because you get to play different characters, and you're highly trained and skilled on stage and in movies. You've got a loaded resume. So when you go on stage, you've also got impressions you do. I think I read through a ton of things you can do on stage.
I don't do a ton of impressions. I mean, I do character stuff.
Okay.
Not directly impressions. I talk about my German heritage, and I do this weird German character, and I have a go-to Texan simple Texan character that I do sometimes on stage. But
You've given them names.
I don't really have names, although I do that Texan character on my podcast right now, Jason's Failed Podcast.
Okay.
We drop episodes of that every Wednesday, and right now that Texan character is part of Dave and Dave, which is I had done a web series as Dave and Dave. But he and this other guy are in a relationship in the South, and they're talking about how to get through the pandemic with the people you're stuck with. So I do that simplistic Texan character in that too. So I sometimes move things around and play with them and have fun. I mean, that's what I think comedy ultimately is. You're trying to have fun and you're trying to figure things out. And
yes.
if you can figure out a way to combine those together, then you can be really successful. But at the very least, you can figure out a few things about life, and it makes your life better, I think.
So when you get on stage, okay, so you've been in my favorite movie of all time, Sweet Home Alabama, even though an extra, and you've done comedy in my favorite comedy club in the world, Comic Strip Live.
Yeah.
I love that place. So when you go on stage as a trained actor, are I don't watch people's videos till I get to know them because I feel like I'm spying. I saw your videos on your website, but I just feel like I feel like I'm spying on someone till I get their it's the age of consent thing.
Believe me, nobody feels like you're spying on them. They want you to watch their videos, no matter what. There is nobody I know who has put a video out of themselves who doesn't want you to be voyeuristic and pass it to everyone you know. I want everyone to watch my videos. I want them to judge me however they want to respond, but just watch. And I prefer you to hit the like button.
Okay.
But at least watch.
Well, I'll subscribe too. I like subscribing. I just feel like I'm peeking in the window of their life with binoculars.
No, you're peeking onto the stage that they have stepped upon to perform. So
okay.
They want you as their audience.
Okay.
100%.
So when you go on stage, do you reveal layers of your own life, or do you do more of entertaining where they don't really get to know Jason Salmon?
Yeah, it's pronounced Salmon.
Salmon.
It's spelled salmon, so I understand.
Thank you for correcting me.
I know, it's such a weird thing. I hate correcting people, but it's like, maybe I should.
No.
It's such a weird deal. But, no, I like to explore. I mean, literally, when I write comedy, what I'm doing is I'm thinking of things that interest me. And sometimes those things are race issues, and sometimes those things are issues with my own personality, or things that I'm proud of, or things that I'm ashamed of, or things that are struggles that I'm dealing with, and it depends. And sometimes those things that I talk about on stage are food, so it can be anything. I have jokes about guacamole, and I have jokes about transgender, figuring out the transgender experience for somebody who's not transgender. I mean, that's a huge spectrum of subjects, but
yes.
In each case, they were things that interest me, because I think ultimately we all want happiness, we all want peace, we all want security, we all want enjoyment, we all want human connection. And it doesn't matter if you are a heterosexual man who plows fields in West Texas, or if you're a transgender woman who is trying to fight for human rights in New York City, or whatever your case is. Those two people want 90% of the same thing, just in different versions.
Yes.
And they have different strategies to get there.
Absolutely.
And we all do. And so I think that whatever's interesting to me is I pursue my comedy from that, because I figure if I'm interested in it, then I'm going to explore it more. I'm going to have more of a human connection to it. And because we're all humans, no matter where you come from, and we all want similar things, I can find a way to relate that to somebody who may or may not have my same experience.
Oh, that's amazing. That's like a master class in comedy right there. Do you know how many... I've trained new people to get up on stage, and then I say, go find a real coach. And if I wish I'd have had those tidbits to tell people in class, because they're all looking for a shortcut. That's not really,
pursue what you love. If you love pursuing it, you will pursue it, and it won't be just work. If you hate something, you can pursue it every day, and you may never get anywhere with it because you simply are not motivated to do anything with it. So
yes. What are you motivated to pursue through the pandemic to bring to comedy?
A little bit of stupidity. I have a series of I dropped the 14th episode of my washing hands video. I dropped that on Instagram and Twitter, and I'm going to also start dropping, because they're like 30-second videos that you can literally wash your hands while you watch the video if you want. But they're just stupid thoughts that I have. Today's was about Kim Kardashian and Kanye West. Last week I talked about asteroids, So, it's all over the map.
Uh-huh.
And it's just goofy, dumb thoughts that somebody has while they're washing their hands. So it's called Washing Hands with Jason Salmon, and it's on my Instagram, it's on my Twitter, and will soon be on my YouTube.
So it's...
And you can even if you go onto my fan page on Facebook, it's on there as well. So
it's called Washing Hands with Jason Salmon.
Yes.
And the name of your podcast again?
Jason's Failed Podcast, or JFP. But if you look for it, you got to look Jason's Failed Podcast.
Okay. Wow. So you're out there in New York in the thick of the whole pandemic shutdown.
I am. Yeah.
It's a serious, serious subject that people away from New York and away from cities devastated by it are coming up with conspiracy theories, not wearing masks, not obeying a 6-foot distance. Has this personally touched your life? Have you had friends struggle with COVID-19 or die?
Yeah. I've had many friends get it. Friends and their family get it. People have recovered and had no symptoms. I may have had it. I don't even know.
Right.
My girlfriend got it, and I think she got it. We couldn't get tested, but she had all these symptoms that everybody had listed as symptoms of it. I was around her the whole time. I never showed any symptoms.
Got it.
I've had friends who they've gotten it and had horrible experiences. She had a mild experience. People have died.
Sorry.
It's crazy. The difficulty of living in New York City is that whereas most people might encounter 50 people a day, 100 people a day, I encounter thousands of people every day.
Yes.
Not right now. Right now, I probably encounter the amount of people, same amount of people a day that most people would encounter in a normal day.
Yes.
When they're out, when they're traveling, when they're moving about, because I'm not in a car for one. I have to either take public transit, in which case I am in a single car with hundreds of people, or I've got to take a cab, in which I'm in a place that hundreds of people have been in the last hour, or I've got to walk, which means I'm encountering hundreds of people because you're just, this city has so many people in such a small amount of space.
Yes.
That it is difficult to understand the magnitude of what locking down New York City is. And for me to stay mostly in my small 5th floor apartment is way different than somebody who, lives in Texas and has to stay in a place that's got a backyard they can walk around in,
Yes. Oh my gosh.
So, I mean, I can't walk in a straight line for more than 10 feet
Wow.
in this apartment, that's just the way it's set up.
Yes.
So it is a different animal, and I do think people have to respect what's going on, even if you can't see it, even if you haven't had an experience with it, because that's because we don't know. We don't know how this transmits exactly. I mean, animals have gotten it in New York City. That's weird.
That's so weird.
People who are asymptomatic. I have no symptoms. I could have conceivably given it to somebody if I hadn't quarantined for 2 weeks straight without going out.
Yes.
Just because I thought I could have possibly gotten it.
Yes.
And going out and thinking that you're fine just because you feel fine. I used to be involved in the fitness industry heavily, and that's not how it works. You don't think you're doing poorly until you're way past not doing well. So people have to understand you're not as smart as you think you are. Nobody is. And unless you are an infectious disease scientist or virologist, you should listen to those who are.
Amen. Amen.
So,
I can't imagine that there's anything that I would do to my body that has anything to do with bleach. I think for myself. It's not going to happen.
Look, I hope
Nope.
most people won't, but you know what? There are people who stopped drinking Corona beer because this was called coronavirus. So
It's true.
I'm not counting on the general intelligence of the populace to carry us through this.
Do you have a favorite joke that you have said on stage and you just will never let go of the joke because you enjoy it so much?
I gotta say, every joke that I've ever told that I've said enough, I get tired of.
Yep.
So to me, the joy of being on stage and telling jokes is coming up with new things and new things to explore. I don't think even when I've auditioned for things and it's really, you're doing a 5-minute set or whatever to.
Uh-oh. It froze. Just a second, it froze. It's gonna come back. Just a second. It wants to come back. Come back. It says I'm unstable. Here we go. Are you there? You're there now.
I hear sound.
Here we go.
There we go. All right. Good.
It went out when you said that you like new things to explore.
Yeah, I don't think I have any jokes that I couldn't discard. I'm always looking for the new thing, the new take, the new thrill, the new something. It's exciting.
Yes,
To work new stuff.
it is. I love it. I get bored real easily too. I wonder what percentage of comedians get bored fast with their material because we're all kind of OCD or artists or.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, the difficulty is you have to polish it. So, you go through stretches where you have to polish it. I filmed a dry bar special at the end of February, and I was polishing material before that, and I got really bored with the material because I wanted to do new stuff. So,
What was that like doing a dry bar special, Jason Salmon?
it was good. It was a lot of fun, great crowd. It's a really clean comedy. So, and I'm a clean comic, but I do deal with topics that are not the easiest topics necessarily to deal with. So,
Are they mostly Mormons? Because you're filming in Utah.
yeah. I would say that if you were going to designate probably the bulk of them, because it's Provo, Utah too. It's not even Salt Lake. It's a much more religious, quiet area. So yeah, I would guess. I mean, I didn't specifically ask, but I would guess that most of them were Mormon.
So do you ever see?
But they were fun. They were great.
So do you ever see one man with 17 women?
I did not. Now, I have seen that in New York City, but I don't think that was polygamy as much as it was just a really good night for that guy.
So how has the pandemic, this is the big one, how has the pandemic made you a better human? Because if there's any hope in this, like my parents went through the Holocaust, speaking of Germans, so they were over there in the thick of it. As Jewish people, well, my dad was, not my mom. My mom was just German Christian. So they came out wanting to be better people. That's the only way to really thrive and survive, I feel. So what do you want to do after the pandemic because of the pandemic?
Well, I mean, I think it sort of brings into sharp focus the fact that you have to do things that you don't need in order to help those around you, because we are interdependent. I mean, I think this has brought into really sharp focus the fact that I'm in New York City, and yet I choose to be very vigilant about what I do because of healthcare workers in the city, but also people in New Jersey, and also my family back in Texas, to keep them safe and to keep, all of those things are interdependent.
Yes.
We are one people. We are, and not just, I mean, the U.S. specifically, but the North America and all of the world. We are interdependent on one another. And I think, it's good to focus on that. And it's good to, when you talk with people who may disagree with you, especially in this time, understand, I get it. There's a lot of economic uncertainty, and that doesn't have to butt heads with the health uncertainty. Those can both be intertwined, and you can have different thoughts as to how it should work, but listen to people. I think that's always the best policy anyway, but I think this has really brought that into a sharp focus.
Yes. I just wish people would not go into the pandemic and come out of it bickering with each other about their views. Just like, can we just all get along? It's like, reminds me of your parents sending all your siblings to their room because they can't get along. I mean, I'm sick and tired of hearing everybody quabble over stuff. Like, we're going through the worst time in my 69 years. Arguing?
Yeah, I mean, I think the difficulty is that a lot of people are getting a lot of information from sources that prefer we argue. And so I would say that if you are getting information and it makes you mad, try to seek out that same story about that same thing at a source that doesn't make you mad.
Ooh, that's brilliant.
Because a lot of times things are phrased to make you feel like you should defend yourself against it. And that doesn't lead to civil discussion or solutions that are helpful. That just usually leads to vitriol and anger.
Wow.
And we don't need more of that. We need less of that.
We had a gentleman in my apartment building. He was carted off by hazmat suits, guys because he had the virus, comes back and refuses to stay in his room quarantined as he was told to do, and won't wear a mask. So I told him he needs to, and now him and his cronies are saying that I'm just paranoid. So I'm now seen by a group of his people as the paranoid woman that's overreacting. Just what I want.
Yeah, well, I mean, the fact is, in this case, it's good to be paranoid. I would prefer someone who is paranoid over someone who is cavalier.
Thank you.
And with those things, I mean, that's what this whole process is about, is figuring out ways to communicate with people without fighting. And
yes,
I've talked with some people who it's like, you know what, acknowledge their concerns, but also say, hey, do you need a mask? I've got extra stuff. Do you need this? I'd be glad to help you out. Do you need help? I mean, the great thing about my apartment building is that the people have been really cooperative. We've helped our neighbors. They've helped us. And that's one of the beautiful things that comes out of this is you don't see each other all the time, but you're all in this. You're all there, and you're all living and trying to survive.
yes,
And we're all just struggling to get through on a lot of levels, and this can be good for mankind or humankind, or it can reveal us to just be a lot of very weak people trying to survive at the cost of everybody around us.
yes. You've been a doll for this interview. Thank you so very much. I wrote down, and I'll add to the post your social media, and please correct me if anything isn't exactly the way you want it said.
Okay, absolutely, yeah.
And
Salmon Comedy is Twitter and Instagram.
J. Salmon Comedy.
And people can listen to my album, Force of Nurture.
And the album is, I wrote it down, but remind me.
Force of Nurture.
Force of Nurture. Oh, you didn't say that. Is that your dry bars comedy?
No, that's my album that's available. You can listen to that on Sirius XM, which I think is still free right now.
Okay.
You can listen to that on Spotify, or you can get it on iTunes. But that's an hour of my material. Everything from guacamole jokes to jokes about growing up in Texas to figuring out what it's like for somebody going through the transgender experience. So all of that stuff is...
I'll be watching it tonight. I got nothing else to do in this pandemic, and I want to... Now you've given me permission, consent.
Yes, go check out all my stuff.
So has the pandemic helped you? Helped you go like belly up financially to where you're open to telling your Cash App or Venmo, or are you against that?
No, look, I think the fact is, it's the comedy world is gonna be struggling to a lot of people are gonna be struggling to make money in comedy for the foreseeable future, for at least a year, I would say, because things are going to be different. They're going to be a little more limited. I don't begrudge anybody who wants to do that. I've been fortunate because I've made enough money in acting over the last few years that I don't have to. I've made a few dollars doing comedy during the pandemic, but I've also donated a lot of money because I happen to have a little extra that I've been able to help out, hunger causes, and about a few friends who were struggling. I just think everybody during this time, if you need some help, ask for some help. If you've got extra, help somebody.
Absolutely.
Be in contact with people. And we got to get through this together. This is not a personal thing. This is a worldwide thing.
Yes. So you mentioned that you like roles where people you watch people doing roles of acting with mustaches. So I went to high school with Sam Elliott.
Oh, the godfather of the mustache.
Yeah. He's 5 years ahead of me, so I never knew him, but I went to the same high school. So have you ever looked at his roles and thought, boy, if he ever passes on, I'd like to pick up where he left off?
Oh, I'd love to play his grandson.
Oh, that'd be cool.
That would be great. I would love to just be Sam Elliott. If I could have Sam Elliott's career, even a fraction of his career, I would be very pleased. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Always fun. Always a blast to watch.
Isn't he? He's one person that can act, and I betcha he could do comedy.
Oh yeah, he's got a nice wry sense of humor. So
Yes. Well, thank you once again. And after I post it, tell me how to correct it, and please share it with your people too, Jason. This is.
right, thanks so much, Lynn. Appreciate
Thank you, Jason Salmon.
it. Appreciate it.
Love you lots. Bye.